Hello everyone, I'm a curious programmer, Xiaoshen Tenkong. After the release of the last video, some insightful viewers questioned the accuracy of the data. I appreciate your critical spirit. However, some explanations are quite complex, not suitable for presenting to the general audience. However, to ensure the accuracy of future videos, it is necessary to explain the precision of the data. Therefore, I have decided to include an additional segment in this episode. In the previous episode, we used an image algorithm to locate a target and calculate the offset of the target's anchor point on the screen caused by the gun's recoil. Here's how to analyze whether this offset in the image can be used as a basis for data analysis, and thus a measure of recoil. First of all, it should be clear that although the anchor offset in the image is used in pixels, it should not be assumed that this value is the distance that should be compensated by the mouse pointer, although the mouse pointer is also moved in pixels. But just because the units are the same doesn't mean the physical meaning is the same. The following matrix analysis is mainly for professionals to scrutinize. Non-combatants can use the escape route. Here's a question for you. How is the gun's recoil reflected on the screen? For those of you who know the physics engine, you know that during the rendering of the 3D model to the screen, the most important operation the GPU does on the vertices is to perform the MVP transformation. The vertices are the intersections of the polygons on the surface of the model. Like the model of this horse, the surface is broken up into 4,000 triangles. Each vertex of the model has to be transformed by the three matrices of MVP in order to be downgraded from 3D to 2D. Then other transformations are applied to display the 2D image on the computer screen. M is the model matrix, responsible for transforming polygon vertices into the world coordinate system. V is the view matrix, which is responsible for transforming vertices and world coordinates into the observer coordinate system. P is the projection matrix, which is used in games like PUBG as a perspective projection, responsible for projecting vertices and observer coordinates onto the near plane. The point projected onto the near plane is already very close to the point on the computer screen. The MVP matrix is the matrix obtained by multiplying the model matrix, view matrix. Projection matrix is the main mover of model vertices. When you don't move around in the game, MVP matrix will remain stable. Once the character starts moving, the MVP matrix would then need to be recalculated and the vertices of the model would need to be remarshaled, so that what you see on the screen is what you see when the character is moving. In the open scope state, whether it's the recoil from firing the gun, or are we actively moving the mouse pointer so that the muzzle is pointing from one place to another, causing the character's head to rotate. There is a Cartesian coordinate system in the character's head. The player's view while aiming is also based on this coordinate system. This coordinate system corresponds to the view transformation matrix in the MVP matrix. The head movements during stance shooting correspond to rotations in this Cartesian coordinate system, based on three axes, assuming that the angles of rotation in the X, Y, and Z axes are A, V, and G, respectively. Then the rotational transformations on each of the three axes can be represented in chi-square coordinates by these three 4x4 matrices. Right. Multiplying the three rotated matrices in turn yields this 4x4 composite matrix. It can be used to represent the rotation of the head coordinate system by AVG angle due to the muzzle movement. The view matrix is calculated from the rotation and translation of this coordinate system, assuming that the base vectors of the world coordinate system are X, Y, and Z, respectively. The base vectors of the observer's coordinate system at the head are U, V, and N, respectively. Then the transformation of the basis vector space is an equation like this. The transformation matrix in chi-square coordinates looks like this. The other component of the view matrix comes from its absolute position in the world coordinate system. The three components of I, i.e. the coordinates of the observer's coordinate system, origin position on the world coordinate system. It is this I component that determines the varying distance to the target, resulting in different calculated offset amounts. Right, multiplying the rotation matrix by the translation matrix yields the view matrix. So as long as I can keep the position of each shot fixed in the game, it is possible to keep the I vector fixed, since I'm shooting at a fixed target. The position of the target is fixed in the world coordinate system, so the vertices are transformed by the model matrix to a fixed value. With the scope on, the value of the near plane is fixed. Therefore, projection matrix internal reference is also fixed. Subsequent matrices are basically tied to the parameters of the hardware device and remain fixed. So the final cause of the change of the image in front of the screen is the remaining three signs in the view matrix, which are U, V, and N, three base vectors. Combining this with the composite rotational transformation matrix, it follows that the change of the image in front of the screen comes from the change of the angle of the observer's coordinate system at the head of the person, deltag. Although it is not possible to reverse derive the absolute value of recoil from the offset of the anchor point in the screen, but there's nothing wrong with using it to reflect changes in the recoil position. Once again, thanks and continued welcome to the ones who questioned. I also hope that you will continue to uphold a scientific approach to analysis and challenge the rigor of the experiment. In the next video, we will statistically analyze the random recoil of the gun M762. Here's a preview. The real difficulty with this gun is not the overall recoil. Rather, it's the random factor in the recoil that's too high. The M762 is here. Can a 6x scope on the M762 be far behind? See you in the next issue.